So, guys, I'm just going to share a few pointers, and please feel free just to take some time out, give it some thought, and if there's any value in any of it, please take it. If there isn't, like I said, leave it aside. Everybody's at different speeds, different processes, different places in their business. There's something I'm going to share now, which I call boardroom basics. If you come from a corporate world, you'll be perhaps used to sitting around a boardroom table. And as we get into the small to medium-sized businesses, there's not many boardrooms about, and there's not many big tables about. But the same concept still needs to apply whether we've got a small business or whether we've got a large business. So can you see this all right, Chris? Is that all right?
Yeah, it looks okay, mate. We'll see when you put the pen to paper, and if it's not, I'll give you a shout.
Okay, so if we look at a business, and we've all got different businesses, but this is just the basics, if you like, of a business. As business owners, we're supposed to sit in that box. And when I say we're supposed to sit in that box, I say that intentionally, because when Ken asked me that question, the honest answer was, when he said, how often am I in that box looking into my business and working on it? The answer was next to no time whatsoever. And if you look at the 4 key boxes of business, so you've got your marketing box, your sales box, your operations and your finance. And for the new age people with HR and everything else, it all goes under here. But if you want to add it on, please add it on. That's basically a business of some sort. The first question that I'd ask with permission is, ask yourself the question, how often am I in that box? How good am I in that box? And how often am I spending time out to look into my marketing, my sales, my operations and my finance? And, you know, in your own confines of your own space, just give yourself a score in that box. You outside of the business, looking in, supporting and driving the business. And just give yourself a score of where you think you are right now. You don't have to share it, just give yourself a score. This is just a good exercise to do on a regular basis, just to help you think outside the box. And that's all I'm going to share today. So whatever the score is, whatever that score is there one action or one thing that you could do that could get that score up? Is there just one thing, something you know you've been meaning to do, you haven't done it yet, it's simple, something you could do to get that score up? For me, to share with you, when a few years back, just booking an hour in my diary on a Monday to say I'm going to be in that box and I'm going to spend that hour focused on my business, that was enough to get me from a 1 to a 2, because I wasn't spending any time in there at all. So just come up with some action point that you potentially could say, that would, if I'd done that, this would help me get that score up in that box. Whilst you're in that box, how are we looking at supporting you as the business owner? What are you doing to make you and to help you be the best you that you can be? So there's a great book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Some of you may have read it before, but it's simply this. It's the word savers. And that word savers stands for this: silence. Some of you may meditate, but the key part of silence is what are you saying to yourself when there's nobody else in the room? You know, what information are you taking on board? Are you working on your own mindset? Are you building a growth mindset? So silence is so important. And in today's world with digital and everything else that's going on, when have we ever got a minute to ourselves? Are we always, is the phone too close to us? Even when we're sitting, perhaps having dinner with our family, is our mind straying in other places? The more we can focus on silence, the key helps you to be the best you that you can be. Then we move into affirmations. I am. Why is I am the most powerful 2 words on the planet? Because it sets you up and it helps your mind to understand that you are great. I am great. I am the best florist, I'm the best, da, 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 da. Whatever it is you might be saying to yourself. Outside in the big wide world, there's a lot of people that can perhaps say other things about you. The more we start saying this stuff to ourselves, the more we're supporting ourselves to be the best that we can be. Then you go to the visualize and verbalize part. You know, a dream board perhaps, or thoughts, what you're visualizing, going out for drives when we're allowed to, you know, visiting some great places, having a great environment and taking that visual experience in. Exercise. So I've known Chris a while now, but when I first met Chris, I was 4 stone heavier than what I am now. That I didn't just cut a leg off to get rid of 4 stone. I had to do something. And I started to build this into my life to actually start changing the way that I am personally. Then we go into reading. As Chris was saying, we've got a book club. I started a book club for people that don't like reading books because I wasn't reading enough and I needed to get that knowledge going. So I started a book club to hold me to account and also to hold the community account so that we can learn together and share together. And then last but not least, scribe. If any of you follow Jim Rohn, you know, one of his, the biggest beliefs from Jim is write the stuff down. It sticks forever. So if you're a great person writing up a diary, that's fantastic. Perhaps start with what you're grateful for. If you started the day with what you're grateful for and ended the day with what you're grateful for, it helps and builds your day. It helps and builds you as a person. So that's a little trick there to support this box. Now let's go into the marketing box. Let's be completely honest. In your business right now, if your business, if you had a marketing department, some of you may have, and some of you are the marketing department. For me, I certainly was my marketing department for years. What would you score that marketing department right now in your business? Going on to what a couple of guys were saying earlier about change and with stamp duty and all that sort of stuff, there's gonna be massive change going on over the next 6 to 12 months. There's one thing that can support your business more than ever before is up the ante, do more, quadruple the stuff and the awareness of your business. How many people are aware of you? How many people are aware of your business? Score it right now and conclude what's the one thing that you could do this week, today, that could just get it that little bit better. And whatever that is, make it as an action point and put a date of when you're going to achieve it by. Just by taking that approach, that will start getting those scores from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get your marketing to a place where it's test and measured and you're controlling the spend and you're controlling the tap. You're starting to turn the tap on and controlling how you manage the interest that takes you into your sales department. So as you go into your sales department, how is your sales? Do you know what your conversion rate is? The key for understanding for me, my electrical business, was when Kent asked me that question, I had no idea. We quote a load of people and some people say, can you do our work for us? And that was it. That's exactly it. And that was my business. And because we had a load of work, we thought it was okay. But then when trends and the environment changed, everything changed. And I was not in control then of the work coming into the business. Once we test and measure how people understand us, and then we understand our conversion rate and what strategies we can put in place to get a better conversion rate, that takes us then on to how we deliver the work. So if we are going to walk into a catastrophe in the next 6 months, what are we doing in these 2 boxes to make your business stand above the crowd in the best possible way? So score your sales side of your business out of 10. Have you got a sales process? Do you stick to it? You know, is it something that you monitor? Have you got a conversion rate? Whatever it might mean to you, give yourself a score, create yourself an action point to support your sales. In the operations box, now we help and look at lots and lots of businesses all in the community. And for me, 80% of my time was always spent in that box. you know, looking after the clients, looking after the clients, looking after the clients. How well is your operations in your business? If there was just one little thing that you could change, what would it be? Have you got the time to put that time together to make it work better? Is there something, a system, a very simple system or a process that could give you some time back? Any of those thoughts that you know you've known about and you just haven't quite done it yet? One of the things that we see great results every day with lots of business owners, and the results come from something so simple, so simple. My electrical business, their small works department going around changing light bulbs and putting extra sockets in here and there. Their small works used to be the bread and butter of the business. And then we're having a coaching session a few months ago, and why is your small works just completely stopped? And everyone come up with reasons around, oh, it's COVID and we're not allowed into people's houses and all that sort of stuff. All the excuses come out. And I said, what was our number one marketing strategy for our small works? And they said, oh, it's the engineer's card. When we go and knock at Mrs. Smith's at number 11, we just knock next door politely to say, we've got some work to do in number 11. Hopefully, you know, we won't upset anybody. Here's a card. You know, if you need anything, give us a shout. And we just done that little exercise. That uplifted our small works over the years threefold. But we realised that we wasn't doing it anymore. And I just asked a question as their coach to say, why don't we do it anymore? They come back the following week to say, we run out of cards. That was it. We'd run out of cards. So why don't we talk to the printer, make sure 2,000 cards are sent to us every month and restock the cards. And guess what? Our small works department now is thriving because we're doing the simple things. So whatever the score is there one thing that you could do? And then the last but not least, the most important box, the finance box. Do we know where we are right now? How well do we know our numbers? Is there something that you keep pushing to one side because it scares you? Anything like that at all? How do we hit it head on and deal with it? Because the language of business is numbers, it's logic, but it's run by human beings. So there's an emotional and logical imbalance going on quite often all the time. A lot of the trade clients that we work with, you know, a lot of them are dyslexic, a lot of them are dyscalcular. So that is a no-go area. So they hide away from that. Fully understand that. I hate numbers, but I had to know my numbers. The easiest way, and there's lots of people on this call that are far cleverer than me, but the easiest way for me to start to understand, if you ever look at a profit and loss sheet and you look at it and you smile and you go, yep, I haven't got a clue what that means, but it looks good because the numbers look good at the bottom. If you're in that place, this might be able to help. And it's a little trick that someone showed me a few years ago. A graph, the further we go up there, the more money. The further we go along there, the service or the stuff that you sell, depending on whatever business that you're in. Knowing and understanding what our fixed costs are is key. So many business owners see it as all as in one pot. Getting an understanding that we've got to pay out that amount of money, whether we make a sale or not, is critical. And getting that from a mindset point of view, not just a logical point of view, and learning to live with that is key to any business of any size. Because like I said, whether the sales come or not, we've got to pay that. As the sales start to grow and the service we provide starts to grow to whatever level we're in business to go to, then understanding that our fixed costs start to go up. Depending on industry, obviously, if all your fixed costs are if you're an industry like an IFA or something like that, perhaps not. But generally, our fixed costs will grow the more we sell. So cost of goods sold or cost of sales. If you look at Companies House and you look at the businesses that don't make it over 10 years, the statistics are astronomical against us as business owners. It's awful, absolutely awful. One of the key reasons why most businesses fail is because of the understanding of that break-even point, knowing that when, what day of the month, what number, where we go into profit, and how we then, through our marketing, start to grow our profit and drive our profit and buy profit by supplying the right stuff, delivering the right services, and focused on profit. So that's a little bit around finance. Ask yourself that question. How well do you know your numbers? Okay. And whatever the number is, could I do something better? Could I do something different? Could I just put half an hour a week into my diary just to know exactly where I am? There's a few things there that I've just shared as a couple of touch points, guys, just to get the sort of the juices flowing and get thinking. But really, most businesses are generally the same principle. If we can get into this box and get into the habit of working on the business rather than just being in it, we're one step ahead. We're one step ahead quite often. As we start to get a 7s and 8s into each box here, you're starting to then build a business that potentially could work without you. Whether you wanted to be in it or not, that's a choice, that's irrelevant. But rather than it being a job, let the business do the work. And if we spend time on that work, working on the business then will then look after you forevermore.
Amazing. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Mark. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of questions, so I want to make sure that we cover them off. I'll kick off. And the actual fact, I might just take all the questions because it gives me an opportunity to learn more. In your experience, and I suppose these changes over time, what would be the right balance in terms of time to work on and in your business in the early days?
So for me, when I was doing 80, 90 hours a week, and I don't say that lightly, guys, I really was. I thought working 7 days a week, 11 hours a day was the norm, and I grew up that way. When I sat with Kent, and Kent said, if you're going to become a client of mine, I need to see you for an hour every week, and you need to be at least working 4 hours a week on your business. Somebody that works 80, 90 hours a week, that was a bit of a problem. It started off just that 1 hour. I've now got a regime in my default diary that I spend on average 5 hours a week on my business, supporting the team, training, whatever it might be. And the only one other bit of advice is treat your business like your number one client. However, if you was going to go and secure your number one client today, how would you treat them? What would you do? Everything about getting them on board and then looking after them forever. Treat your business like they're your number one client. It's one of the best bits of advice I was ever given.
That's really good. Guys, have we got any questions? Let's see who's got a question. Kevin?
Steve, I'm very wary of any coaches, but I'll put you 100% here. You've put across the basics and the details. Excellent. So thank you for that. All I've met in network meetings, everybody's saying that coaches, whatever, no proof. That makes a nice change.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? So I think we've probably got as financial planners, we're judged, financial planners and advisors, we're probably judged on the worst ones out there as opposed to the best ones. But what makes Action Coach for you different, Mark?
So what was interesting, first of all, I really appreciate your honesty, and I totally agree with every word that you said. I coach quite a lot of coaches as well, and you've got to live and breathe the stuff that you're doing. And there is no point, Action Coach for me, I signed up to Action Coach as a client 12 and a half, nearly 13 years ago. And I signed up to Action Coach as a coach 5.5 years ago. I honestly didn't even know there was a franchise until the day I went and signed on the dotted line, because my coach was, in my opinion, completely world class. And every time I walked into his office, he took me to a completely different place. And when I left, I felt like I was on top of the world and I could conquer all. And going back to get that feeling, that just building my belief helped me go to the next level. And most business owners don't need the skills. If you look back on what I've just shared there wasn't anything tips, techniques, or anything else. It was just you thinking around each box. If you just spent a little bit of time thinking around each box and working on that part and just making it and developing it and making it a bit better, inch by inch, life's a cinch, by the yard it's hard. Everything gets better. For me, Action Coach is a big name. It's a global name. I've met some great coaches. I've worked my socks off at being the best coach that I can be. And the only thing that I would say, and this isn't an Action Coach guarantee, this is my guarantee. I promise everybody, if we don't get the value, I always lead by example. Do all coaches? That's a question. If we don't get the result, I write you a check and give every penny back. And the reason why I put myself under that pressure is because I have to be part of the team that I'm in. Are all coaches living and breathing their clients' vision, mission, and their journey? Who knows? I've been taught by one of the best, and I demand that from myself. That's perhaps what makes me a little bit different. But it comes back to the simple things. Keep focused on the simple stuff. And also, you don't need a coach. Just power up, mentor up. What Chris is doing with this group is absolutely phenomenal. Mentor up and just get somebody to sit here and hold you to account on the stuff that you're doing. It's key. If you just spent half an hour with somebody every week and went through that exercise I just shared, I guaranteed everything would gradually get better and better and better.
It's really funny actually, Mark, because we're running webinars once a month at Savello, just educating our clients and professional connections on the sort of value we can add, and we invite all our existing clients. So I was on the webinar we ran earlier in the week. I was talking about my own financial plan, this. I think Carol, you were on there as well, and one of my clients said, well, you know what, I'm glad to hear I'm contributing to your financial plan. I said, well, you are, because you're a client, and I've got to make a living, but you really don't want a financial planner without their own financial plan, because that means that they're not practicing what they preach. And I think what you've said about that is fundamental. You know, you've got to believe in what you're doing, otherwise you're in trouble.
Be your number one client. It's a simple, whatever industry, just be your number one client. And you don't sell, don't share something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any other questions? We've got any more?
Could I put one diagram on here just to get people thinking? Guys, we're all born, okay? We all go to school and do some stuff, okay? For some of us, we dropped out a little bit early and play rugby, but I'll just talk about myself for a second. At 25, supposedly we know what we're doing, and at 65, we're supposed to sort of start stopping what we're doing and start enjoying life, whatever that means. And on average, about 84, the average age is when people start to leave this world. So if that's our timeline, there's lots of people that we meet that have been in business, and they go work and come home and 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 go work and come home. And that's called the 40-year plan. Are we in business for 40 years, or are we doing the same stuff every year for 40 years? That's the question. And if we can work on the business and do the stuff that needs to be done and employ people that are better than us, or get systems and processes in place that are better than us, all that can be done in 2 to 5 years. And once we get the business finished, we can jump off the hamster wheel at whatever age. We've got a 21-year-old guy that works with us that's going to be financially independent by the time he's 22. I've got a 67-year-old guy that only went into business a year ago. Same process. Are we in business for 40 years, or are we doing the same stuff year on year for 40 years? Only you can answer that question. For me, I was doing the same stuff. And thank God someone stopped me in my tracks and got me focused on working on me being the best me that I can be. If you're doing some great stuff, you may get some good stuff. The key is, who do I need to be to do the right stuff? And if we work harder on ourselves, the do will come easier and easier, and we get what we want in life, whatever that is that we're aiming for. Hopefully that helps, Chris.
Amazing stuff. And we've got space for one question if we've got one. No more? All good? All good. Thanks, Mark. That was really, really good. Thank you for that, mate.